together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of my country. Hi, Judy. To the lady I met on Charlotte Street today. Hi again, and thanks for the support. Just as I tell you all every time, thank you all for the support. I am humbled every time I come on and see that you all are paid. It could be 1, it could be 2, 5, 10, 20, whatever. I am thankful because it's simply about getting the word out, getting the message out, sharing the information. And I love talking historical things. I love sharing information. I love speaking to people. So it's always a pleasure for me. So let me start one time. We have a program here, like TV6 and I would have a program. I have a program too. And I start with some good news because there's always something good. I remember the preacher man used to say that something good is going to happen to you today. Something so he used to say, right? But I hope with whatever information I give today, that it would empower you and encourage you when you're making any decisions, to make the right decisions. So again, they keep saying that this country, nothing happening, people suffer. Well, we know by now that word suffering is like a slang. It's like, boy, you happen there, boy, things real hard, boy. But it didn't mean nothing because you go and sit down and drink and have a good time, party, whatever. You go and do what you have to do, that kind of thing. So it's a slang. That suffering talk is a slang. So I'm seeing here, coming off of TV6 News, and I think they are part of Guardian or TV6 Guardian, whatever. Right? This was yesterday. It said Blue Waters exports rise by 54% in 2024. Property tax, just now. What is this? Property tax for businesses is not on the table at this time, according to Minister of Trade and Industry, Paula Gopi-Schoon. Following a factory tour of Blue Waters products at Orange Grove, Gopi-Schoon said, if you look at the last budget, there is no mention of an introduction of property tax on businesses. I am sure it will come sometime in the future, but there will be discussions with the business community. The minister stressed that it is not part of the equation right now. Also commenting was Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association, TTMA President Roger Roach, who referred to response by Minister of Finance Com Embert last year when he asked a question about the property tax for industrial properties. Roach recalled that Embert said he would meet with the business stakeholders to discuss the issue before implementation. Blue Water's Chief Executive Officer, Paradeep Subriyan, said in 2024, exports grew by 54% and flavored products, which are non-water, grew approximately by 45%. We produce a Copac, all Pepsi co-brands for local sales and distributors, which Vemco Limited does, and also for the Barbados market through Vemco. Also, Blue Waters Copacs for Tampico, and we have the selling and distribution rights for the CARICOM countries as well, Subrian explained. Blue Waters owner Dominic Hadid said one of the other ways to earn foreign exchange is to look at other beverages being imported into the region that could be manufactured in it. We are just a water company. Some of our competitors may not want to produce for others as it competes with their own brand. Blue Waters has no horse in that race. So we can say anybody who is importing products, paying more duties and foreign exchange will bring with a beverage company. Bring it to the beverage company and we will produce it for you. Not only Trinidad, but in the region, said Hadid. That is another way of saving US currency into the country, and you will still be importing products into the country. So you can still be importing a full product and have it manufactured locally, but still some US input. But a lot of local input from labors, raw material, to electricity, water, and wages had Hadid detailed. He noted that there are lots of things the beverage company is looking at to be different and unique. Some of the products you may see us doing may not be our products, but other people's products. That is another way of innovation as well. Ask how the company manages the foreign exchange crunch. Harry said it manages its day-to-day operation by a combination of buying from the public bank and Exim Bank, as well as generating forex from exports and buying it locally. I would not say smooth sailing, and even though we are growing our exports, we are also growing our local sales. With our local sales, we do not have to use forex. We get by, except when we have big capital expenses, new material or new equipment and new lines. It is a balancing act. I think all the financial institutions play a role when you see you are making an effort and not just grim. You are instead trying to buy local and export, he stated. The thinking, Habib said, is once the financial institution give you support, now in the long run, the establishment will be less reliant on them, and then that is the aim. Speaking about expansion, Habib said, the goal is to open 2 or 3 more factories in the next 10 to 13 years in the region. Last year, Blue Waters Products Limited cupped the title of Manufacturer of the Year Large 2023 at the TTMA Presidents and Dinner Award. So that is Harry Deer being innovative in, in his business, and based on that, he's able to have a different outlook on his business. One of my peeps Sunday son birthday, I don't know if it's Miss Angela Lacroix. Belated happy birthday to your son. Send that for me, please. I think I saw it somewhere. My apologies, I didn't see it before. So let me talk the thing, family. Say happy and strong to your son, even if it was a couple of days ago. Yeah, and all job blessings. I'm seeing also, hi Glennis. I'm seeing also that Fort George Tobago has been refurbished. Oh, there's something I'm a teacher. I want to end up looking like camera. Just a minute. Right, I get it out. I brush my teeth just now, but sometimes, if you're in floss, at the same time that sometimes particles remain. So I'll floss tonight. I didn't have time to do all that washing to do this. So I'm also seeing, why are you thinking opening? Give me a minute. Hi, Sister Jen and friends, I'm yesterday. What's going on? All the ones that start to give me trouble like gun, It's in the news there, but I don't know why it's taking so long to open. Oh, it's yes, Miss Lacroix, your son, so I have the right person. You're most welcome, my darling. Yeah, you. What's going on here? Hold on. Let me see if I can get it straight from the source. I'm going to talk to Google. Google on the internet, actually, search engine. Let me see if I can say it. Let me see if I can get it. Right, let me see. Tobago Fort George refurbished. Right. Let me see if I can open it here now. You tell me the same thing, boy. What kind of zombie thing, boy? Hey! Let me try another. Okay. So I'm getting this now from TTT News, January 14th. Tobago Fort King George Lighthouse restored and recommissioned. One of Tobago's oldest artifacts has received a facelift. On Monday, after undergoing refurbishment works, the Fort King George Lighthouse was recommissioned. Situated on the grounds of Fort King George in Tobago, the lighthouse has been inactive for over 2 decades. Secretary of Tourism, Culture and Antiquities and Transportation, Tasha Grace Boris, the unwashed one. The one who it is alleged was fighting with some man in Tobago, and I think the one is alleged she was fighting some girl in school. said that the lighthouse, which is over 200 years old, deserves preservation, alleged about the fighting. The lighthouse was constructed in 1821, which means that this stands as one of the oldest pieces of architecture on this island. And we have a responsibility as government, as a people, to ensure that while we are processing, while we are encouraging development, while we are inviting all that is new and all that is shiny and all that is good and all that represents enhancement, that we take a time to look back and remember from whence we came. Who says so? She? Eh? And when Dr. Key Christopher Rowley had refurbished the Magnificent Seven, body paintings, Casabon painting, all that, all wasn't saying those things. No, all wasn't saying that. All they say wasting money. So now restoring the lighthouse is what? Let me read it over, Papa. You think I'm right here? Let me see. The lighthouse was constructed in 1821, she talking, which means that this stands as one of the oldest pieces of architecture in this island. And we have a responsibility of a government, as a people, to ensure that while we are progressing, while we're encouraging development, while we're inviting all that is new and all that is shiny and all that is good and all that represents enhancement, we take a time to look back and remember from whence we came. She don't know that. Chief Secretary Fali Augustine noted that because the Tobago House of Assembly administration recognized the value of Tobago as a historic monument, the Department of Antiquities was established. You're right. That wasn't just against somebody. I just asking. So the department has a task to do an inventory of our artifacts everywhere across the island to protect the artifact, to catalog them, and to, of course, use it as a marketing tool for the islands and to see how best we can monetize our artifactual assets. No, it's not what they're saying is the wrong thing. What they're saying is very correct. But it's the people who speak in it. When you listen to them, it does be like, huh? Huh? Because it just can't trust them from here to there. What they say, can't trust them as far as they can throw them? Okay. Phase one, the project was managed by THA-owned Eco-Industrial Development Company, EIDOCT, and was contracted to Parks International. It includes two phases. Phase one includes the refurbishment of the lighthouse and the beacon, and phase two involves the design build of an observation deck, which is to come soon. A permanent lighting fixture for the beacon will also be installed by March 2025. So as I was on that, and that is really nice news coming out there from Tobago about refurbishing and recommissioning our artifacts. So I said, you know what? Let me just give you all a little history for those who may not have known about our own fort in Trinidad. Because we have a fort also. And it's from Citizens for Conservation, TNT.org, and it says here, formerly called La Vergie, Fort George was part of a complex of fortifications, the building of which began in 1804 under the direction of the then British Governor Brigadier General Sir Thomas Hisler. The fortification consisted of sea defenses and a series of supporting batteries. The York, Princess Charlotte, Abercrombie, and Cambridge on the lower slopes, and the Cumberland to the north above Fort. Considered impregnable, it was the major defensive position in the islands, but never to experience military action. That's Trinidad I'm talking about now, right? In times of rumor of war, the merchants of Port of Spain would store their records and valuables at the fort. Fort George ceased to be a military establishment in 1846. A signal station was established there and continued operation until November 1964. The signal station, built about 1883, was designed, listen, the signal station of the Fort George in Trinidad was built about 1883 and was designed by Prince Kofi Nentis, son of King Kofi Kalkali of Ashanti, West Africa. He arrived in Trinidad on the 1st of July 1881, having become a ward of the British government after a war against the Ashantis in 1872. A major restoration of the building took place in 1965, 3 years after Trinidad gained its independence. So they used to call him the Black Prince. He came here as a child. His father was the king of the Ashanti, but due to war and stuff, he had 2 children. And he sent them to England. One died, and the other one, the English fearing that he might be harmed, they sent him to Trinidad. He went to school at Tranquility, and he was under the stewardship of, I think, a gentleman who was an architect. He himself became an architect, and he would have designed one of the signal houses at Fort George. He also was the first person of African descent or African who was a part of the country club. So there's some history a lot of us don't know. That yes, when we talk about coming from kings and queens, we actually did. We are not just saying that to make it sound good, we actually did. And a testament of that would be King, let me get it, Prince Kofi Ente, son of King Kofi Kalkali of Ashanti. Ashanti, West Africa. And about a year or 2 years ago, if not so much, we saw the king of Ashanti was here, and we saw all the pomp and ceremony. He came with his own plane, his own jet, and gold like that. Gold we never see before. Yeah, so yeah, we come from that. Yeah, and I want everybody to be proud of the history. I'm also seeing PriceSmart reporting. PriceSmart reporting. Once I see the reporting millions, I want to see what millions they're talking about. So this was in the Daily Express, January 13th. Excuse me. PriceSmart reports US 17 million worth of TT dollars ready to convert to other foreign dollars. PriceSmart has reported that as of the end of November, it held about US 70.1 million worth of Trinidad and Tobago dollars that could not readily convert into foreign currencies. This was a US 9.9 million increase from the US 60.2 million PriceSmart reported in the financial year ending August 31st, 2024. In 2015, PriceSmart was identified by former Central Bank Governor Joala Rambaran as the leading user of US dollar in Trinidad and Tobago retail and distribution sector. The statement was made in PriceSmart published results of the first quarter of 2025, which ended in November 30th, 2024, which was released last week. PriceSmart operates 54 warehouse clubs in 1 US territory and 12 countries, including Trinidad and Tobago. From time to time, we have experienced a lack of availability of US dollars in certain markets. This impedes our ability to convert local currencies obtained through merchandise sales into US dollars to settle the US dollar liabilities associated with our imported products or otherwise fund our operation, stated. PriceSmart said that this illiquidity also increases its foreign exchange exposure to any devaluation of the local currency relative to the US dollar. Well, I really know more already, because simply to say, all them millions they had to convert is because people buying. They will have money to convert. TT dollars are converted, people in buying. So that's the salient point here. So I'm saying that the bill was passed. The bill was passed to remove the 3 ships from the coat of arms. And I want to tell Michelle Benjamin and the people of Moruga, you all did yourself a disservice by voting Michelle Benjamin into office to represent you all in Parliament. She is totally out of her depth. She does things that, like as when she was taking thieving the material from some abandoned house to give to carry for one of she constituents or something house burned down and trying to justify that the house there and the body material, it is thieving. And burning tires and getting people to pull the tires. She went with the tires on them or whoever come with them and she put them to burn the road and damage the road and all that. And when you listen to her talk in Parliament, the last time she talked about take it and put it between your leg, and now she's talking on the coat of arms removal. And Dr. Rowley had to school her. I and all would have school her if I saw her speaking about being almost trivializing the whole steel pan and what it means, and putting it what it means to put it on our coat of arms now. Look now. I will leave that. So it is sad to see how Kamala and them could get African people to get up and embarrass themselves. You see, just like Vanilla and Alan Toppin, whatever, get up and embarrass yourself. You see how David Nackett does go on and how what's his name? And Roberts have behaved. It is so sad to see how they just send out them to go out there and embarrass themselves. So this was yesterday. A new coat of arms passed with unanimous support in Lower House. The National Emblem of Trinidad and Tobago Amendment Bill 2025 passed with unanimous support of the government and the opposition in the Lower House late on Monday night. The law replaces Columbus Tree Ship Nina Pinta and the Santa Maria on the coat of arms with the steel pan, the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. The bill clause 4 introduces the gold steel pan and its iconic two-pan sticks into the coat of arms. Clause 5 ensures license issued under the current act remains valid and the former emblem allowed until the 1st of January 2026. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley first announced the proposal on August 18, 2024 at a convention to discuss possible changes to the Constitution. Speaking in the Parliament last night, Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, Randall Mitchell, said that the steel pan depiction on the coat of arms remains relevant to our nation's present and future identity, making it a more authentic representation of our people. Moruga Tableland MP Michelle Benjamin, speaking for the opposition, said a UNC government would do more for the steel pan movement than symbolic gestures. We will show how we love the steel pan on this side and improve the lives of everyone involved in the industry, she said. But that raised the ire of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, who chastised the young opposition MP by saying she ignored the many other aspects of the steel pan movement and saw improvement under his administration, including not by limited to the promise of a new Trinbago headquarters and ensuring the organization was on solid economic footing. That caused opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar to rise to her feet to defend Benjamin, saying the opposition fully supported the bill, and to say otherwise would be to flight windmills fighting something that isn't there. Those sitting on this side never objected to this at any point in time, she said. It is something to be proud of, and I really just stood up to say, we place on the record, we fully support this move. But I also endorse the comments by my colleague from Moruga Tableland that we need to do more and go further. Prominent designer Gillian Bishop was tasked with with creating the new emblem, but the final look of the new coat of arms has not been revealed. So Kamala Persad-Bissessar said they would have supported the steel pan and they supported the bill. And Dr. Rowley basically was fighting windmills, fighting things that wasn't there, right? She said they supported the pan, they love the pan and what they're going to do for the pan. God forbid them come back in office, right? So that's why I tell you, can't trust them. People listen to this and tell me if this was support she was given.
Opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar has condemned the recent changes to the coat of arms, arguing that such action oversimplify and distort history. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announced at a recent PNM meeting that the 3 ships belonging to Christopher Columbus on the coat of arms will be replaced with images of the steel pan. Persad-Bissessar criticized the portrayal of Christopher Columbus as a hero, calling him a navigational idiot and a perpetrator of severe atrocities. Persad-Bissessar contended that altering symbols and names does not improve historical understanding or addressing present issues. She noted that true history, including both good and bad aspects, should be taught in schools and not manipulated for political gain. Persad-Bissessar warned against using historical grievances for electoral advantage, which could inflame ethnic tensions and undermine citizens to focus on current issues and hold politicians accountable for their policies rather than being swayed by emotionally charged historical debates.
Kamala Persad-Bissessar said yesterday in the thing, them supported. But how she said there? All you hear what she now say? You see what them does lie? You see what dangerous them does lie? She was never in support of removing nothing. Them love Columbus and talking about the history must be preserved, but our history mustn't be preserved. Now she stand up there with the daughters dons. Michelle Benjamin, who talk a pack up, you could have passed it through you. You know the way that's passed through when they don't eat and the belly hurt and they pass it through inside the parliament. To get that about them supported. And they go do so much for Pan if they come back. Them never like Pan. Kamala Persad-Bissessar and them wish, in my opinion, that it was the TASA. And no matter how much you tell them, the TASA was not an invention at Trinidad and Tobago. Them come here with that and that come down from Persia. They don't want to hear that. All they're talking about the pan come here with oils, it existed already. Yes, the steel pan, the container, the steel container, it come and had things in it. We never said we created the material. We said we created the instrument that we used the material to create. That was never created nowhere in the world in the 21st century. That's what we say. So you see what it was like, Dottie? It was never in favor, but they realize if they keep standing up against the steel pan, a lot of voters for them is people of African descent, and they don't want to antagonize the African vote. That's all. But they may love no steel pan. I also heard somebody say Dr. Eric Williams ain't do nothing for steel pan. How do you think steel pan gets sponsors? You think the foreign companies who was here just decided, let me go and sponsor the steel pan with us, a big fight, clash, and all them kind of thing, and they say it's rebels playing. You think they just decide just so? Let me go and sponsor. It was because Dr. Eric Williams fostered that relationship, and of course they may have gotten some type of exemption with taxes or whatever it is, and they start to sponsor steel pan. One of the longest sponsors ever is BP. And they love renegades and they deal with them forever since. Who do you think is responsible for that? It's Dr. Eric Williams. Not only that, listen to this.
To assist steel management to identify the special nature of the business relationships, which should characterize the steel band as an artistic, commercial, and industrial enterprise. To impart to steel management the basic principles governing business organization and practice. To assist steel management to identify the special nature of the business relationships, which should characterize the steel band as an artistic, commercial, and industrial enterprise. To impart to steel management the basic principles governing business organization and practice. And to develop in steel management an awareness of the role of law and legal sanctions in commercial and industrial activity, with special reference to contracts, agreements, and contractual obligations.
On behalf of the staff of the Personnel Department, I extend a sincere welcome to you all to this brief but significant formal ceremony for the launching of an introductory course in business administration for members of the Steel Band movement. Without in any way wishing to be invidious, may I, on behalf of the staff of the Central Training Unit of the Personnel Department, specially welcome you, Mr. Prime Minister, and the members of the Steel Band movement to this center, each for different reasons, of course. This training center, situated in the scenic environment of the Steel Band movement, to this center, each for different reasons, of course. This training center, situated in the scenic environment of this ceremony for the launching of an introductory course in business administration for members of the Steel Band movement. Without in any way wishing to be invidious, may I, on behalf of the staff of the Central Training Unit of the Personnel Department, specially welcome you, Mr. Prime Minister, and the members of the Steel Band movement to this center, each for different reasons, of course. This training center, situated in the scenic environment of the historic Northwestern Peninsula, was opened by you, Mr. Prime Minister, according to the records of my department, on May 20th, 1968.
I'm very glad that Mr. Cupid has indicated to the members of the Steel Band movement the scope, objectives, and operations of the Central Training Unit. I think Mr. Augustus of the Steel Band Association and his colleagues will now understand why it was that I insisted, when we were discussing the question of implementing this principal resolution of the Steel Band consultation, this resolution that comes from the Steel Band movement itself about the course of training, that I insisted that it should be done here at the Central Training Unit, and that we must stop this idea into which a lot of people outside of the training unit are drifting, that the training facilities and requirements of one group of people are something, and for another group of people it's something else, and that is reflected in different locations. At all levels you have lack of training, inefficiency in management. The requirements are the same, even though the jobs might be different. And above all, the mentality with which the different groups approach the question is the same. So we bring you up here, and if it's too hard for you, it shows you how far you have to go up. Is that clear? You come down here where everybody else comes. And I do hope, Mr. Augustus, that after all the noise you made about this course, we'd have a dedication from the Steel Band movement in respect of this training course, such as we associate with their sessions of music when they're playing for carnival, playing for panorama. You can have dedication in one field and then something else. If we could only get, as I said repeatedly, the sort of attitude that the population as a whole has to the entire carnival celebrations, if you could have that throughout the year, Trinidad would be and Tobago would be the richest country in the world. Here's your chance.
Right? All who say the PNM and Dr. Williams never do nothing for PAN, or they could go and tell them, let's see it on my program. I put it up already, I'll put it up again. Because since back in the 60s, they built the facilities down there in Shogunat, Chagaramas, and that man who was talking was the head of the public service, Hilton Cupid. And you see the programs they put in place for the steel band men to come up in society, to learn about business, develop, not only just to play pan. So since back then, and as I tell you before, the sponsoring a steel band, bringing them out of the era, the fight and the clash and the bacchanal and the bajon and the jamet and the stick fight and all that, Dr. Eric Williams encouraged those companies, foreign companies, to sponsor steel band. And look where it reached today. I'm sure he'd be so proud had he been alive that it has been classy, national instrument legally of Trinidad and Tobago. Not only that, that the UN has dedicated August 11 every year, Steel Pan World Steel Pan Day. And now to have the steel pan being put on the coat of arms, replacing those 3 colonial ships. We know about them ship and them. You could go in a book and read them. You ain't taking away the history from it. You could go in a book and read about the Ninta, the Pete, or the Pinta, the Nina, and the Santa Maria. You could go and read about those things. It's there in books. We have gone past that in terms of our history, in terms of we're not forgetting. But the steel pan is also our future. It is us, red, black, and white. Yeah? So let them fool around the talking. The People's National Movement always did for the steel pan movement. No other government, UNC, NAR, ever do. And they continue to. So let me move on. I'm seeing that in Sweden. You know, Sweden is the country that has gone, I think, cashless. And I've read there's a downside to it. There are people who, there's a different type of poverty, you know, people who don't have the facility or the ability to go cashless. They have cash, and the cash is almost worthless to them because nothing they could do requires cash. It has to be done, you know, through wireless and that thing. So there's a different type of depression and issues that coming out of that system. So as I will always say, nothing is perfect. No matter what you create, will have problems. And it's how you treat it. So in 2009, I was reading in IndianaDefenseReview.com. In 2009, Sweden chose to replace books with computers, and 15 years later, it allocates 1.4 million euros to reverse the course. So he said, in a world where tech seems to run the show, Sweden's education system is hitting the brakes on all its digital approach. They are bringing printed textbook back into classrooms, marking a huge shift in how they think about teaching and learning. This change highlights worries about how digital tools might be affecting students' learning and growth. Back in 2009, Sweden jumped headfirst into modernizing its schools by swapping out old school textbooks for computers and other digital gear. The idea was to get students ready for a tech-driven world. The Swedish government figured that using computers and tablets would make learning more fun and easy to access. Gradually, paper textbooks disappeared because digital versions soon seems cheaper and more adaptable for the future. The goal was crystal clear. Arm students with this skill they would need in a high-tech age. But as time went on, it became clear that this switch wasn't without its hiccups. Fast forward 15 years, and Sweden is having a second thought due to some major problems cropping up. Research shows that reading on screen, especially with those with bright lights, can cause more eye strain and less focus compared to paper books. Plus, understanding what you read and remembering it takes a hit when you are staring at screens. One big gripe has been how distracting digital devices can be. Lots of students get sidetracked by games or surfing the web during class instead of sticking to their studies. This screen obsession also raises flags about social skills and attention span in school settings. Parents and teachers are pretty vocal about these issues. Many parents worry about their kids using computers for things other than learning. To tackle these problems, Sweden's put in 1.4 million euros into bringing books back into classrooms from 2022 to 2025. It's a hefty chunk of change aimed at making sure every student eventually gets a paper textbook of each subject. The money will also go towards campaign helping schools switch back to traditional ways of learning. This isn't about ditching digital tools altogether, but rather finding a sweet spot where tech supports basic learning techniques instead of taking over completely. Swedish officials have noticed a drop in key skills like reading and writing among students, mainly because they have been glued to screens since they were little kids. The government now sees this as a misstep, ditching traditional methods too quickly without thinking about long-term consequences. Bringing back books doesn't mean they are throwing out tech out the window. It just means that they'll use digital tools more wisely from now on. They are still great for mixing up teaching styles or getting online resources, but will be used sparingly moving forward. Sweden's choice highlights how important it is to find balance in education, a takeaway that's relevant worldwide as schools everywhere try to blend technology with solid educational foundation. As this Nordic country makes its way back towards traditional methods, it's both a warning sign and an example for others looking for harmony between innovation and tradition in education systems across the globe. So you all hear that, eh? Sweden, everybody does like how it's so, it's cashless and it's real technology and all that. 2009, they ditched all textbooks, all learning on your tablet, internet, and now they want to reverse it because they're seeing 15 years later, they're seeing the effects, the negative effects of not having the actual textbook. So that is a lesson for all of us. We have to be able to use the technology and still have the traditional. Yeah. I also heard that parents, if I'm not mistaken, some parents are calling for the government to have a curfew for the children. Two things I want to say quickly. The only way the government can put curfew for children is if they are in the state care, if they become wards of the state. So if they're in homes, orphanages, homes and all that, yes, they are under curfew that are coming at a certain time and all that because the state seen about them. When they're in your care and they're under 18, mothers and fathers is all they have to implement what it takes to do what do they have to do. But some of them don't want to do the work. Because I hear somebody call on radio and say, the child outside playing, talking whatever, excuse me, and the mother tell the child come inside, because it was about 7 anyway, and the child say, wait, they're finishing talk. And the mother go back inside. And that's it. My thing is this. Children will be children I'm speaking about, they're not over 18. Children will behave like that if there are no consequences to the actions. I remember my son small, on Saturdays, play free for all because it's a break from Friday school, so Saturday play all over, whatever. Sunday, lockdown, schoolwork, this, that, to get prepared for Monday. However, on weekends they play every Saturday. My thing was, don't let the street light come on and you're not inside. Because we had a street light on the street and it came on at 6. So don't let the street light come on and you're not inside because you will sleep outside. And my son, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, only play. You hear the foot running, coming, ta. And as I go into lock the door, sliding, I say, oh, you make it, boy. Because he knew, and my trainer always knew, when I say X, Y, Z, this is it. Me ain't shouting and eat up myself, it has consequences to your action. If I do something wrong, also there are consequences to my action. So me, they had them kind of problem, and my trainer grew up climbing tree, running, everything. But it had a standard during August vacation, play, all over. They do your chores first and morning, but you can play, run, You see, the last week before school, buckle down. Time to get yourself back into your books in an order, and we go on again. We didn't have no kind of problem at all, because they know what I say is that if you have to go to a school party, you behave and you disobey whatever me telling you, nothing. The day of the school party and bazaar, you could get up, you could dress all kind of back and whatever. And when your mom, where you going? No, you're not. Do you remember XYZ? So back inside. And they said, oh, I watch all the school friends passing. Go in and come. No, you ain't going, I can't go. You know, me get a problem again. They don't know how to do because they want to go to the school party. I'll even go so far and buy the clothes. buy the clothes, everything there. So you tell yourself you're going. I might even come to here and all. And when they got dressed and everything, where you going? You remember one of the XYZ? Well, no. It goes nowhere. You could stay in the clothes. You could roll inside dance, play music. It goes nowhere. So again, everybody do things differently. Everybody do things differently. Yeah? And as Roxanne said, you're inside by 6. You don't bathe, organize yourself. During the week for school, you come home, take a cool down, take off your clothes, put a day with a wash, whatever it is, you cool down yourself, you tidy yourself, whatever it is, do your homework. When you don't do your homework, you're allowed to watch 2 half-an-hour programs. So it used to be Martin and Fresh Prince. And as that finished, and that I sit down and watch the news. Me, I didn't like to watch no news, but I used to sit down with that. That I watch the news, I sit down right there. And when the news finished, that will tell me all where the news say. All what happening in the news, that will tell me and relate everything. When they finish, they watch the Martin, they watch a Fresh Prince, and in the bed by 9. That was just me. Everybody do things differently. It's all about consequences for action and discipline, and everybody will go good. So let me continue again. I'm seeing also that something about Cuba. You understand? You just watch them, just a look, and they hush. You just watch. That's what say, you're mad? You're going mad? And I'm going, quiet. Just a look, and let's see how big, you see how big I am, right? And I was even smaller than this. Just a look. And they know, because they know mommy does keep she word. And if I just keep my word, or they have to keep all the word to me. So I've seen this here, US to remove Cuba from state sponsors of terrorist lists. This was BBC. One day ago, it said the US will remove Cuba from its list of state sponsors of terrorism, Joe Biden said in one of his final official acts as president. In return, Cuba announced it would release 553 prisoners. The deal, which was brokered by the Catholic Church, comes just days before President-elect Donald Trump is due to be sworn in. During his first presidential term, Trump reinstated Cuba to the US list of state sponsors of terrorism, and it is not clear if he will reverse Biden's move once back in power. Trump Choice for National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said on Fox News that anything the Biden administration are doing right now, we can do back, and no one should be under any illusion in terms of a change in Cuba's policy. So we will see how that goes. I don't read anymore. Right? So Cuba is to release 553 of the prisoners, and the US under Biden right now has removed Cuba from the list of state sponsors for terrorism. Let's see what happens when the man they vote for in America, when he comes in. Well, let me just, right. Let me continue. Now, we always speak about loving country. And being patriots. But it have a certain group of people with a proud ancestral name. Some, I will never say all, it can be all of everybody, seem bent on wanting the former colonial masters and the white man and that to always do something bad to us in the Caribbean or take control of the Caribbean. It's ironic, because the People's National Movement would have made the decision after they had a General Council, when Dr. Rowley would have had, before that, retreated his ministers using the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago in selecting a prime minister to lead us into the 2025 election. And there was an agreement that everybody will follow no matter who lost, win. Minister Stuart would have come out the winner, 11-9 vote. We saw that displayed. So he's the one to lead. There was some distraction, this talk and disappointments and all that. A general council was had. I hear was packed capacity coming out of that is a united front, team PNM. And there's some in our society talking about the PNM have a Chinese man and the black people in the indigenous. But themselves people always writing to all kind of foreign government that don't have black people as leaders to do something to win this country. You see the kind of cognitive dissonance we deal with. So listen to this gentleman here, and I'm reading it for a purpose. So this was in the Daily Express, January 12th. Try TNT, Mr. Trump, forget Greenland. The person writes, come on, man. Dear President-elect Trump, I trust this letter finds you well between court appearances. Having followed your visionary interest in acquiring Greenland in Canada, I have an extraordinary opportunity that will tremendously interest you as the timing is perfect. Our Prime Minister just announced his departure. And just between us, Mr. President, our hand-me-down parliament makes your Congress look like a well-oiled machine. But here's why Trinidad and Tobago is your next best deal. 1, strategic location right next to your favorite neighbor, Maduro, boom, bad hombre, as you might say. Perfect for keeping an eye on him from your new Trump Tower in Port of Spain. 2, ready to pump oil and gas reserves. While the green energy folks play with windmills, we've got the real deal underground and downstream infrastructure above ground. 3, we invent the steel pan, which can be packaged as played in the US. Trinidad Carnival makes Mardi Gras look like a small town parade. 4, our forceless police sometimes need help finding their own station, and our Coast Guard has turned smuggling into a marine highway. Your law enforcement expertise, headed by Rudy, would be tremendous here. All we want in return, Mr. Trump, are tax-free US dollar salaries. Trump creates, imagine the headline, Trump's create Caribbean tax haven bigger than Bermuda. Your DA to destroy the roots of our worsening crime situation as our current strategy of hoping for the best isn't working. Fast track the deals while this leadership transition is young. Forget Greenland, ice, and Canada's snow, Mr. Trump. We are offering you year-round Gulf weather and 2 islands for the price of 1, where no one gets persecuted. Yours sincerely, a patriotic citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, Fazil Khan, St. Augustine. All you hear that? All you hear that? They have a problem with Minister Stuart Young, but they don't have a problem with Donald Trump, the white man, coming and buy we and bring me back to colonialism and slaves. Nothing wrong with that because a white man, but I have a problem with Minister Stuart Young. You hear the name? Proud Indian ancestral name, Fazil Khan. And that is, you see, this is not the first time I'm coming up beside the sister would have done the same thing written to the ambassador when Donald Trump was there for them to put Rio Treaty, enact the Rio Treaty, and put sanction on the way. I remember next one of them wrote to the Australian government saying that the Australian opposition, telling them that this government is in some corrupt deal with the government of Australia where the OPVs are being built and all that. Oh, remember that? That's what they do, some of them. And remember, they went to Marlborough House to stop us from getting our independence. Oh, remember those things? They formed an organization, Trinidad and Tobago Indian Association, where they were planning to carry out damaging bridges, police station, and harming and carrying out violence against people of African descent, but they didn't call you Africans, of course, in the area. Remember that? You remember Mosi Bagan encouraging she constituents to form vigilante groups to beat up and damage and hurt people of African descent because they perpetuated a lie that is African men raping Indian women. And when they checked the scene, and they run to Canada with that lie, and when they checked the scene, was Indian men with Rasta weight. Oh, remember that? Or remember when they cordon off themselves in an area they call English or something like that from everybody as they cut them off, because that was put in the book of H.P. Singh, one of the biggest racists we had in this country, to separate this country. And some of them did it. And then eventually they left from here and went to meet another group outside. Oh, remember that? Okay. And when conversation on recalcitrant minority was spoken, people got upset to make we feel recalcitrant meant Indian when it just simply meant obstinate, stubborn, stiff-necked. Huh? Okay. So let me continue. So I see that the police would have seized $1.7 million. This was again from CNC3 News, and it would be in Guardian. It said officers attached to the Highway Patrol Unit seized over $1.7 million worth of cannabis during what they thought was a routine traffic exercise in Shogunas yesterday. So, good work there. They give you a certain amount you could have on you legally. You could even plant trees in your yard. One person could have 4 trees. So if you go outside that, of course, and you're caught, that's just the way it is. I'm seeing also that yesterday in the debate, they didn't just debate alone the removal of the, the 3 ships of the coat of arms. It was also about getting an extension on the SOE, state of emergency. So let me see if I could read this story, a little piece of it. If not, I'll just go to the headline, which I don't really like to read headlines. So this was 20 hours ago. Stakeholders support extension of SOE for the greater good of Trinidad and Tobago. With a state of emergency officially extended for 3 months from Monday night after receiving full backing from both the government and opposition benches in the House of Representatives, several stakeholders in politics and the business sector have weighed in on the move. While some are hopeful the SOE, which was declared on December the 30th, will have a major impact on fighting crime, others are cautious when it comes to its usefulness. The Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association President Roger Roach said it was all for the greater good of Trinidad and Tobago. The TTMA supports all proactive and intelligence-based measures to combat the crime scourge that is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. We hope that this provides law enforcement with additional tools necessary to be more successful than they have been in the past to bring these criminals to justice. This is for the greater good of the country, and businesses will adapt and manage during this period. The TTMS stands ready to assist the authorities whenever we can and play our part in the solution. Political leader of the National Transformation Alliance, Gary Griffith, maintained the stance he took when the SU was declared, that it was not a means to get the crime situation under control. As I said initially, I see the SU not as a crime-fighting tool, but both major parties have seen it as that, and that they're right. That's their right. Instead of crying out, we need to circle the wagons and try to have the SU as productive as possible, he said. Griffith said the SU was used in 2011 by the then People's Partnership government against his advice as the then National Security Advisor, and it caused Trinidad and Tobago, which is the concern in things like SOE. We are now already hearing the use of cruise ship turning back from Trinidad and Tobago. And again, that was explained, that was not true, Mr. Griffith. Oh, go read all the thing now. It wasn't simply about no turning back because of the cruise ship. It was because there was no information given, there was no tour people there with the vehicles and all that happening, because they came to Trinidad. Mr. Cavallo explained his things in order, all the information all this, so they hear. So they don't just jump on thing now. And during the SOE, that was that was used as a detector to show, well, this is how the crime went down, right? So Tourism Minister Brandon Mitchell has denied reports to say that cruise ships are staying away from TNT. Griffith said that was why he recommended that all the things being done by the TTBS now could and should not have been done before the state of emergency. My thing is this, the state of emergency, does not have the curfew factor in it. So that makes it unique, and that any visitor coming here, once they understand, because once they hear curfew, you think of when you hear state of emergency, you look at curfew, police all over, you can't move up and down, movement restricted. So if it is explained to them that the SOE does not have the curfew element where the whole country is locked down, but rather it gives the police certain powers that they would not ordinarily have had there not been a SOE, so they don't have to necessarily get no warrants to search houses. They can stop you on suspicion, they can search you and stuff like that without ending up before the courts on saying that you victimize and all that. So it gives them that. And we hope that they do not abuse it. That is the most we can do, but it's human beings at the end of the day. But it gives them that type of freedom to treat it matters that they would have been bogged down by having to go to court, having to get the DPP involved and this one and that one involved. And that's what it is. Business continues as usual, people partying as usual, and things are happening as usual, while the police and the army do their work with whatever intelligence that they have. Right? Now, Gary Griffith, you see, when you have to talk, you don't talk. Because nobody didn't ask you nothing. You'll remember the person who they keep saying. Now, I want to know something. If you were a man, and the man had children or a child, they all going down, right? Or they living all together. You know, we in the Caribbean like to pay quickly is a stepchild, right? If you and that man done, and only going on separate ways, does the child still be your stepchild? You still have responsibility when he ties to them people to still say stepchild? And if the roles vice versa, a man with a woman who have a child, they go down with stepchild, whatever. When all they done and move on and go on all the way, that is still a stepchild? Okay. So we have always seen posted all up and down Minister Siochong's stepdaughter. Now they say ex-stepdaughter. So Minister Young's stepdaughter was held with some people down in the West with drugs and guns and all that, right? It became national news and it continued to every time they want to bring up something about Minister Stuart Young. Papa, Gary Griffith jump out and say the girl is his cousin. You don't find the thing now. Watch me now. Nobody asked Gary Griffith nothing. Gary Griffith said the girl is his cousin. And that door criticized Minister Stuart Young because he's a hard worker and he worked with him already and he's a good this and a good man or kind of thing. So listen to him.
When I worked with Minister Stuart Young as the capacity as the Commissioner of Police, I think the country would have still made a very good team. We were able to handle COVID, we were able to handle security, and he provided me with the support, the leadership, organizing meetings. So I have seen him work in his capacity as a leader. And it is difficult for me to criticize him on it.
The political leader of the National Transformation Alliance, Gary Griffith, had only praises for Minister Stuart Young following the PNM's General Council decision over the weekend to support him as the country's next Prime Minister when Dr. Rowley steps down this year. Responding to TV6 at a news conference held at the NTA San Fernando office on Monday, Griffith said his confidence in Young's leadership capabilities does not suggest the prospect of an alliance between his and the ruling party.
The PNM has always been one to go alone, so this is not the NTA in any form of fashion having any intention to say that we intend or would like to work with the PNM. It is not on the table. The PNM is a very powerful party, very respected.
He says one issue he continues to find distasteful is certain individuals and entities trying to taint the minister by associating him with the drug charge of a woman a few years.
Okay, Gary Griffith endorsing our Prime Minister to be Minister Stuart Young. One does never cease. But you see, when you see goodness and truth, you have to respond to goodness and truth. And Minister Stuart Young has never been a man of confusion and bacchanal. He's not a perfect man, none of we perfect. And they want to talk about how he did troops when the reporter asked him. me with us troops too. Because with us troops, some people asking the same thing over and over. I give an explanation already. That way you stop me for. Yeah? And the conversation with this army, you're not going to bring it back up. How you disrespect woman. You disrespect no woman. One woman you talk about, and it's a woman does do that. So that's a disrespect. As I say, I don't understand how that is a disrespect. If that's what you do as well. Okay. So let me continue. And if the mic was on, nobody would have ever heard that me say. So, okay. I'm not trivializing anything, but I'm just being real. So Mr. Selwyn Kojo decided he going to jump out the whole self and talk a pack of foolishness. And he has to be put in place by, I even want to read what he write. I just want to read the response he gets in the backside. That imps. So this was in the, come on man. I didn't even see which one. The whole thing come up. Oh, look at my minute. It looked to me like it's the X. Let me close it back and I will tell you again. Trinidad Express. So this was January the 13th. Bitter and callous Kojo. I am deeply distressed and angered by the use of my sister's name in the article Selwyn Kojo's Sunday Express. It is both disrespectful and utterly disheartening that Kojo has chosen to exploit my family's profound grief to advance a baseless narrative. The decision of our Prime Minister to step down from politics was made well in advance, and it is not now, as suggested, linked in any way to the untimely deaths of my sister, my niece, and my nephew. Dr. Keith Rowley is a man of integrity. He had made a promise to the members of the PNM that he would step down when the time was right, and true to his word, he honored that commitment long before the tragic deaths of my loved ones. There were widespread rumors regarding his resignation, rumors that were completely independent of our family laws. In the midst of my grief, it does not escape me how some individuals, people I would expect more from, have made the conscious decision to capitalize on my family's pain for their own agenda. I am both shocked and appalled by such callousness. What I will say is that in that moment of profound devastation, when my family was surrounded by unbearable loss, I saw our Prime Minister not just as the leader of our nation, but as a fellow human being, one who, like all of us, was struck with grief at the loss of someone he had held dear and respected deeply. The respect and compassion he showed were clear, and I am disappointed that Kojo's article completely overlooks the humanity in favor of unfounded allegations. Moreover, I take serious issue with his suggestions that there was a lack of democratic process in the transition of leadership. The article misleadingly implies that the PNM constitution was violated, which is completely unfounded. As a self-proclaimed member of the PNM, Kojo should be aware that the next internal election is scheduled for 2026, and that internal elections do not occur during a general election year. Kojo claims that the leader was handpicked, yet it was the PNM caucus that voted, with Stuart Young being chosen as Prime Minister designate by a vote of 11-9, an outcome in which the majority clearly prevailed. The caucus, as you well know, consists of the representatives chosen by the people to make such decisions, and the process was carried out with transparency and fairness. It was a functional system executed without issue. It is truly disappointing that, as an accredited columnist, you, Kojo, have allowed bitterness and resentment to cloud your judgment, leading you to publish meritless assumptions without regard for the impact such statements will have on an already grieving family. I will not stand by while you continue to misuse my sister's name in your relentless pursuit to discredit our Prime Minister. It is equally concerning that you are now attempting to tarnish Stuart Young's reputation, a man who was not only my sister's friend, but also someone in whom she placed her complete trust and confidence. If Lisa Morris Julian were alive today, there is no doubt in my mind that she would have cast her vote for Stuart Young without hesitation. I will not allow you to exploit my family's sorrow for your own purposes. This disrespectful narrative ends now. And that is coming from the sister of the late Mrs. MP Lisa Moran Julian. Her sister name is, I didn't see her name today, no, but it's from her sister. And I want to join her in saying that Kojo is a nasty, what I put in that is a nasty, dirty stink man. We even put an African in front. He's a stink man. Also, only have education, only have no class. And all the education in African history is just because all they look like we are not going there, but all they don't think so. All the more Oreo than the one to call Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. Because if all they didn't find it to be offensive, I could call all the Oreo. Because if all they said not offensive, all they wouldn't take it as an offense. Oreos. Black outside, white inside. So let me continue. So I'm saying here that Senator Amy Brown is ready to serve, and I think that's for the seat that Dr. Rowley will be vacating. That's Diego Martin. I don't never remember if it's East or West and anything, whether it's Tobago East or West, Laventille East or West, or Diego Martin East or West. But it's the Diego Martin seat that Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley will be vacating because he's not vacating, because he's not going back up to contest the elections of 2025. So I see Mr. Senator Amy Brown is willing and ready to serve, so I wish him well. Karen Inez Teixeira is saying that she convinced that PNM not happy. Karen Inez Teixeira, study about you and if you happy now. Because at the end of the day, everybody ain't gonna be happy with everything that was done within the PNM, the caucus, or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's a collective voice. And it's known it will have people who are not happy, but they understand that the majority, this is what it is, and because we have an election, and because it's the People's National Movement, they trust the judgment of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. So coming to say you don't think the people in PNM happy. I don't even think the people in HOP that you are part of that they're happy. I don't even think they're happy with you because it's a waste of time. You is one Mr. Manning brought you into his parliament, a relative unknown. So you want to talk about Minister Stuart Young unknown? You was an unknown, nobody didn't know you, and make you Minister of Finance. Nobody didn't know you can make Inez Teixeira. You get big work, Minister of Finance. And then what you do there is alleged with the Clico thing, they're alleging you didn't know you're going to collapse. They say you went and take out your money. So, where's the issue? What have you done that is so remarkable that you remember other than the Clico issue that you do for this country as Minister of Finance? Eh? And you was a fly-by-night? If all want to say Minister is a fly-by-night, you was not fly-by-night. Anybody know you? What I know you could do more work than you because we see the fruits of his labor. What we see is your labor. Clico collapse. Just ask. So we continue. I am seeing also that MSJ is not contesting the 2025 general elections. They want to regroup and bill again. I ain't hear nothing from Roger. I wonder because do you know that who we know now as Minister Stuart Young would have represented, before he was minister and all that, Ansel Roger in the matter in Trinma, when Roger was some foreman or whatever there, and one of the workers under him would have get it for damaged badly by some, like them big fan thing now, whatever they're called the name. And Roger, it is alleged, the camera person be says that say it and she speech, whatever means, she get pre-action protocol letter. It's alleged that Roger paid the man $300 to keep it quiet because it would have been negligent on his part, and that OWTU was trying to get the workers and then to say something different than it was. And I think he was fired or something. So, and as Minister Stuart Young, and how he ended up in OWTU, working in OWTU. I wonder why he quiet, because I wonder if he did ever pay Mr. Stuart Young at that time for the work to represent him. Just now. I'm gonna find it here. Let's see if it's in this report. Right. So this was November the 15th, 2018, you see. Stuart Young, Minister in the office of the Prime Minister, said the former People's Partnership government had once verbally attacked oilfield worker trade union head Ansel Roger. He spoke in yesterday's House of Representatives debate on a bill to vest Petrotrin assets in successor companies, the miscellaneous provision, Heritage Petroleum, Paria Fuel Trading, and Garakara Refining Vesting Bill 2018. Earlier, Young said that the government has never engaged in any union busting or any victimization or attack on the OWTU. He said before entering politics, he had represented unions, including the OWTU. Young said Roger had once told him of a plot by the people to fire him. As his advocate and attorney, we prevented him from being fired from Trinma. Young said Superior MP Kamala Prasad-Bissessar had once told the House that someone had died because of Roger. He said he asked for that parliamentary record to be corrected, although it was never done. That is union busting, an attack on the head of a major trade union personally. Young said Roger was never fired from Trinma, and there was no veracity to the claims against him. Today, I correct the record on his behalf. Otherwise, Young said former Petrotrin workers enjoyed financial packages of 75 to 100% above what was done by statute law. He said temporary workers at Petrotrin will also get packages once they have been working for more than 5 years and 120 days per year. Petrotrin is not being shut, he said, but remains alive to deal with legacy issues. A holding company has been set up to deal with all issues. You see why they can't say nothing? Must see that why William Abdullah must say they ain't going up because they know all the work Minister Stuart Young, and he wasn't no minister, nothing at the time do for them in the union movement as a lawyer. Let me continue. Hey! I tell you something. What is written? It written, yes. So I'm seeing here somebody write. Everybody have something to say on. So this was the 8th of January, 2025, Daily Express. It says from Young to Rowley. That's how they have it. Over the past 2 weeks, the topic of discussion has most certainly, has to be the announcement of the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, that he intends to resign, exit public life, and go off his family. From his home to Whitehall, Dr. Rowley dedicated 45 years of his life to the service of Trinidad and Tobago. He has contributed quite a lot to the development of this nation, which will require another article of mine to elaborate. He most certainly deserves a happy, enjoyable retirement. On Monday last, it was announced by Dr. Rowley that Minister Stuart Young, SC, was voted to be the new leader, another history-making moment and a great achievement for Trinidad and Tobago. Minister Young, over the years, has continued to prove that he is capable of leading and managing the affairs of this country with high morals and integrity. His achievements for this country are monumental as he shows his love and selfless service on a daily basis. While I avoid commenting on statements made by the members of the opposition, I am forced to offer my deepest sympathies to the opposition leader and her members. It is obvious she's delirious and once again caught unprepared, hence her perplexing statements. I read an article in the newspaper where the opposition leader commented that a lazy young man has replaced a lazy old man. She went on to say the latest developments within the People's National Movement are affront to democracy. The opposition leader, whose name I shall never utter, needs to understand that the only affront to democracy is a leader who has lost multiple elections and refuses to demit office. An affront to democracy is having individuals on million-dollar bail sitting at her side with intentions to represent the people of this country. An affront to democracy is leading a government plagued by controversies and every Monday morning having to replace a minister. The opposition leader should be the last person to refer to anyone as old and lazy. She referred to Dr. Rowley as old and greedy. Dr. Rowley is a man at age 75 who fulfills his obligation as Prime Minister, walks faster than the officers in his security detail, and does not require assistance from his vehicle to wherever he needs to be seated. He tends to his sheep and animals and his farm, as well as his crops. Young is a man who worked 15 to 20 hours per day, and a man who has placed on hold a prominent legal practice, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but the Caribbean and the UK, where he is qualified to practice, all in the name of service to the country. Both Dr. Rowley and Minister Young are present in Parliament and their MP offices, seeing and representing the people who elected them. The opposition leader needs to take a good look in the mirror, utilize the time she's absent from the Parliament during the people's business, and to do some deep introspection. As Adolf Alder said, the power-hungry individual follows a path to his or her own destruction. I believe the opposition leader knows and realizes that she has already become a victim of this philosophy. However, it is not too late for her followers. Those who hold on and support her unfortunate will suffer the consequences of her decisions, as they have done over the years. The country is in good hands, and I hope and pray Minister Young will continue to be the humble, ambitious, hardworking gentleman he always has been. All right? That was written by, let's see, I think if I'm not mistaken, please forgive me. You know what? Let me look all the name because it may not be this person. I'm seeing a Ishmael Salami. I'm not sure if this is the person who wrote this article. Anyways, I continue. Just a minute. Okay. Oh, yeah. So, let's have a little program and thing, right? And like I just missed, okay, right. TNT is in good hands. So I think I just read that. Let's read TNT in good hands.
So Tobago is in good hands. This from the Minister of...
Okay, hello. So it's not that. We're not talking Tobago today. So somebody's asking, what is Kamala doing? What is Kamala doing to enhance or excite voters? What is she doing? Other than talking a pack of foolishness right through, what is she really doing? And we're not seeing her doing anything, because she continued to speak about lazy, and the same conversation she had with Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, she come back again with Mr. Stuart Young. And it don't make no sense for a couple of reasons. Mr. Stuart Young is young, so she can't say old. Lazy. But all those trips he has been making abroad to make sure these deals are signed off on and all that, that is not a lazy person. Greedy? I think not. He had, as the person, the writer would have said, he had a thriving career that he got to practice law not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but in some Caribbean islands and in the UK. So how that will make him greedy if he give up all that to serve this country? So you could clearly see that the same rhetoric they had planned for Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley is the same thing that they have for for Minister Stuart Young, because they can't change so late in the game. It's money for that whole campaign they had, you know. So now to switch, that to do that switcheroo, but how they doing that? That take money, you know. So they're going at what they have, all greedy, and like, oh, it is so tiring. It is so. So this is Suraj on Kamla. Let me see if it will open. And this was in the Daily Express, January 12. It says here, former United National Congress minister is calling on the party's political leader, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, to reveal her plans and say what she would do differently to convince the electorate in the upcoming general election. In a social media post Friday, former Tabakit MP Suraj Rambachan questioned whether the UNC had a strategy to win 2025 election. He said it appears that while the electorate was fed up with the People's National Movement, it was not yet motivated to vote for the UNC. The UNC needed to answer the question of how it, as a government in waiting, has distinguished itself from the PNM and restored the faith in the electorate and the UNC was a capable future government, he stated. He added, what Mrs. Bissessar did in the past is now largely irrelevant to the people in comparison to what they need to hear from Mrs. Bissessar in terms of the refashioned UNC and Trinidad and Tobago. Rambachan was also critical of the people advising Persad-Bissessar, saying the individuals around her were enemies and were pulling her down every day by their selfishness and self-seeking attitudes and behavior. They are telling her what she wants to hear, not the truth. And they can't tell her the truth because the majority of them have nothing without leaning on her shoulders. It is a bitter truth. They have become her emotional prop, but her political grave diggers, he continued. I like that part. He said they have become her emotional prop, but her political grave diggers. He said he believes Stuart Young will be Prime Minister and that the PNM will win the next general election. The floating voters will either stay away or vote the PNM. The status quo will remain because the UNC would have failed to be convincing. The status quo will remain if they go reasonably and vote for Mr. Stuart Young and the PNM get 25 or 27 seats. The status quo will remain there. Of course not. And then the status quo in the PNM will remain because now we have a person who is not of African descent and we have the People's National Movement. So clearly it's not a status quo issue. The status quo is with the UNC. So the status quo will be retained because the UNC will have failed to be convincing. You cannot convince voters with the same team, which has not made an impact as the Young Brigade. The future generation of leaders promised by Kamla in 2020 has not materialized, he said. To be victorious, he said Persad-Bissessar needed to embrace the challenges and be courageous in decision-making. Rambachan said the one-size-fits-all policy cannot work, and the UNC needs to segment its voting population and roll out policies as per their needs. At the same time, the UNC must identify the one common enemy of the people and unite the people against that enemy. In this current scenario, it is crime and security of the people, he continued. The UNC said, no, the common enemy of the people is the UNC, because that is crime and instability and nothingness. The UNC said needed to demonstrate how it would address security concerns such as gangs, home invasion, guns. No, she said she will give everybody guns, stand your ground. So she has worked out how she's going to deal with that. And also border security, she has said the war is on land, not on sea, so there's nothing there to cover that. You remember that Suraj Rambachan? She dismantled all the security systems, you remember that? So she has already indicated what she is going to do with crime. So resources to the fire service and enjoying relationships with public agencies dedicated to national security. Only remember they paid how much, something million or whatever, to pull up an old fire truck from down a cliff when they could have sell it for parts much cheaper and get somebody to pull it out for much cheaper. Remember millions spent on that? Ooh! You remember to buy the wooden ladders that they never used? How much money they spent for wooden ladders and was never used? Okay, so we see what they will do with that. Yeah. Referring to the stagnant economy, how could the economy can be stagnant when all Blue Water's making money, price smart? And I've been reading and telling you all these companies that have been making money, opening new businesses and all that. So how is it stagnant? Probably PKR come out say it's stagnant. I don't know. I'm just asking. Referring to the stagnant economy, he said it was necessary for the UNC to outline an economic recovery plan to achieve economic resuscitation, including food and security. Well, we have the food and security working on that already. Because remember, we have 150 new farmers out there. They got 2 acres of land, a starter house, $20,000. And they're going to use the techniques they learn in UTT, and they want the land for 1 year. So we're going to see that. We see the shade programs. We see they're already selling the produce already in the farmers market. It's out there selling. I myself went to the farmers market and I bought okras, lovely okras. I bought pumpkins and cucumbers and yeah. So we are starting and we are going on, and we have down in Tucker Valley those things are happening down there. So we're doing quite well. You know, the UNC hasn't done anything and has no ideas. Ramachan added that had it been the UNC political leader, he would have completed the screening exercise and named 2 candidates per constituency, name persons as potential ministers for government portfolios, meet with critical foreign investors and diplomats to build partnership, bring the government to account through effective established parliamentary committees, engage in youth through social media, and build on youth development and national involvement as a winning strategy, and adopt a campaign theme that is inclusive. Well, you know what? They had the highest oil prices ever between 2010 and 15, and they never thought about making a youth ministry to deal with youth issues and national youth issues. They never did that. They had a little small department called Youth Department that dealt with youth in Trinidad and Tobago. We see this under the People's National Movement. And social media, yes, they use social media to get the people out there to cuss African people and call them monkey and donkey and ugly. Yes, they use it for that and put up Dr. Rolly picture and he head on top of feces and he faced this. And yes, that's what they use it for, Suraj Darling, so they're using it. And as for talking to diplomats and all, that is alleged when you were the foreign affairs minister. I think it was you, if I'm wrong, so my forgiveness, that was alleged. That you fired all the people who look like me and young persons too. One of my co-workers, her daughter, was one of those that would meet people when they come off the plane, the dignitaries, and that she was that attaché kind of person, whatever. And it was alleged some UNC minister who was up there, whatever, so asked who is she? Because you know she dark, eh? Because her mom is dark, really dark, beautiful dark. Who is she? I want to tell them whoever. But soon after, she got fired. Yeah, so they went up there and they fired all who look like me and you. So we know what their agendas, right? So let's deal with that. The UNC have nothing to offer this country. So, Minister Stuart Young. Let me see what this has first before I go on Minister Stuart Young. I saw I put a video to play. And I'm not sure exactly what it was about just now. Okay, so I think I played that already. Oh no, just one. Let me see if this one is something different. I'll give me a minute.
Opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar has condemned the recent changes to the coat of arms, arguing that such action over...
Right, I played that. So I showed you all that. When she said she supported in the bill in last night, she was lying. She did not support it, right? But she had no choice, I guess. So let me move on. So we're talking about Minister Stuart Young and this conversation, how they get the Chinese man and not the black man. And I will always say, the blackest man was leading the People's National Movement, and all those who call him a black this and black that. When Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC and people who call them all kind of derogatory names and stuff, they come out and support. When Vanilla Allen Toppin, a black woman, was in the parliament and said he's a rapist and pedophile and all that, to this day people continue to reference what she said. I didn't hear those black intellectuals and they come out to say defend him in any affirmative way. So they can't tell me nothing more black. And as I say again, the conversation about I'm a slave catcher and I sell North African people as a rassum and all that. Here we're going on, and I'll say it again for all who didn't hear. So they close all the French door, turn down the radio, turn off the pot, all the thing, I'll say it again. So if you're saying I'm a slave catcher, I will tell you that. I will catch the slaves. And when I catch them and they leave from by me, they will walk away proud Africans. Knowing the history, understanding the history, with self-esteem, so they could stand up to any other race as an equal and not have their head bowed down. But when I catch them, they just leave from all there, they no longer say they just be N-I-G-G-E-R-S. That's what it does end up. Not knowing themselves, subservient, they head down and beg, gimme, gimme, gimme. So who is the best one to catch them? Not me? Right. And as for selling out my race. Let me tell you something. Sometimes a tribe don't look like you, you know. Sometimes a tribe may come from different groups, and it is based on the connection, it is based on ability, it is based on experience, it is based on those who can do the job, those who have been doing the job, and who is doing it in good heart, patriotic, selfless, giving and willing to give. And I already used to say, me don't watch race, you know, I just watch face. But if you have a particular race and you treat me a particular way, I will treat you back. If you're from whatever race, you insult me, embarrass me, unprovoked, I will insult you back. I've always said that. I'm a Rastafarian, is equal right and justice. I know who I am. I know I'm an African woman. I'm a proud African woman. I'll stand up for African and consciousness any day. But don't give me no BS with that choppiness all they're talking now. Because me supporting Minister Stuart Young doesn't diminish my self-worth as an African woman. It doesn't diminish my worth. It does not. Because I already going into this proud, loving myself, understanding my history, and knowing what I could bring to the table. Yeah? That conversation I'll leave that there. So, we want to know who Minister Stuart Young. On Friday, I would read about the Chinese, their entrance into Trinidad and Tobago. But for now, let me play some things. So I see Minister Young would have had a very have up meeting his constituents. And somebody, I put hashtag we are the ground with Young, and somebody asked me, what has he done? So I said, okay, so I responded to the person. So Minister Stuart Young is from the constituency. He has represented us since 2015. He represents the constituency of Port au Prince North, St. Anne's West. And I understand some of the areas are from Park Street to Duke Street in the south, Cascade, Monreport to Chin Chin in Mova, Newtown and the entire the Belmont community there, parts along Circular, the entire St. Anne's to Chancellor Hill to Mount Pololo, straight to Casablanca, and all up in Funzaman and those areas. People know all those areas. So it's a vast area, and there's a different type of community in each. Like Cascade will have a different type of constituents. Belmont will have a different. So it varies. Funzaman, straight up Pololo, straight up Casablanca. It's different. The communities is diverse. So you have working class, you have middle class, you have residential areas, you have those who live in a certain socioeconomic background, those who in a lower back. So it's a mixture of people. So when we say we are the ground with Young, is because those are the people that he interact with all the time. So some of the things he would have done, just some of the things he would have done within his time as member of parliament for the area. So we have the Belmont and Cascade community centers finished. Play Park in Harp Place and Hawaii Land finished. We have the refurbishing right now for the Belmont Play Park. Remedial work on St. Anne's Riverbed that was undermining people's property. Massive works are happening in St. Anne's of Funzaman and Peter Bridge is being lifted, curb walls and slippages are being dealt with. That is in collaboration with Ministry of Works, of course. We have contribution to several seal band in the constituency. You always see Mr. Young there with St. Margaret boys. You see him there pushing pan with, I think it's either St. Francois or one of those schools. He's there with the seal band movement. He's always there giving support, financial and otherwise. You have he assists in the schools in the area to make sure that they get support through grass cuttings and whatever things they may need to help the learning experience to be, enjoyable. Free legal clinic and health clinics. You have homework center where meals and transport are provided where necessary. I don't know if all the centers are up, but once they're up, those, I think one right now, I'm not sure about the others, but once they are functioning, meals are provided and transport are provided for the children who have challenges to get to the homework center. Immediate relief to constituents in the case of fires and any disasters, so that when they go to the constituency office, they're always on hand. Food hampers, you get clothes, you get stuff while they link you to the other ministries that will help you with those long-term needs, right? We have that happening. Through his efforts again, and that's through public utilities, yeah, he got a pumping station up in Lady Road so that the constituents of Mackay can get water. He would also have assisted constituents of that areas with water tanks. He would have assisted them with the water tanks so they could store water. And he was there giving hands-on, passing bricks and mixing cement and all that. So that is just some of the things that he has done in the constituency and continue to do. There's much, much more. But he is that type of member of parliament. That's why we say we are the ground with Young, because he's that type of person. Anything Renegades has, he is there supporting, and any function, anything, he's there with them. He's known there. He's known on the harp. He walked through the harp. So he is, and you can ask anybody in the constituency. He walks his constituency. Once time provides more than 2 times every month, but he's in the constituency every month. Because of the constituency, so he walks. So there's not a month that he doesn't do some walking. So there are persons who may have missed him. There are some areas he may not have touched, so he has to go back and repeat it. So he's always there. He's somebody that you see. He's visible. Again, you'll always have somebody saying, I didn't see him and he didn't walk. He'll always have that, because if it have 100 people, 80 might see him, but at 20 who said they never see. And that happens. But all in all, he's well-rounded in our constituency, and he continues to do the work. So this is, let me show you Mr. Young. This is what was creating a little controversy, because they see him and they're telling themselves it's only because he think no, we don't start to work. No. Minister has been working all the time. No. This has nothing to do with no election coming up now. He working all the time, right? So don't get it twisted. So let me show you a video with him.
Red, white, and black. TNT, yes, we love you. Step it up. Trinidad, me man, Trinidad, me come from. Trinidad, me man, Trinidad, me come from. Trinidad, me man.
This is not my music. I'm not the right to play, but it's a part of the video, right?
Trinidad, me man, Trinidad, me come from.
Trinidad, me man, Trinidad, me come from.
Trinidad, me man, Trinidad, me come from. They let me crawl on the island. Not forgetting that the island is a twin. Come to America, you make your head tougher.
It's not my music. Not my music. It came with the video.
What you wish you must come from. Trinidad, me born, Trinidad, me come from. Trinidad, me born, Trinidad, me come from. They have me born on the island. Trinidad, me born, Trinidad, me come from. Trinidad, me born, Trinidad, me come from. Trinidad, me born, Trinidad, me come from. They have me born on the island.
All they didn't like to hear when we talking the thing. Let me play it for them. They don't like it. I don't take that. They don't like it. It's bothering them because Trinidad, we born in Trinidad, we come from. Hey, let me play it again. I don't have the rights to the music, people. This is a video somebody created, and I see they post it up.
Well, you want more of that. Lick your fingers, you're bound to come back. Alright.
Oh God, it's all kind of thing, God.
Hey guys.
Don't worry. Let's see enough of that. Trinidad born and Trinidad come from. So where's the problem? Where's the problem? Look at me again. This is how he does it.
Right? This year, blessing, money, testimony. Go to follow, you they go. This year, good news, diet, plenty money. Go to follow, you they go. Everything I've been wanting, manifesting for my life. Everything you've been wanting, manifesting for your life. Even before you call, you don't answer.
So that's how ministers do it. This is not an election gimmick. That's how we just do it. Because Trinidad born, Trinidad come from. I like that video. I'm going to play it back again. I love it.
I don't need to brag now, boots. Out all the islands, me love mine the most. You for me island, me.
The money music, it was mine, but what she put tears, all wrong. Always on the ground. Doing the work. If you're not on the ground with the constituents, doing the work of the people, doing the work of Trinidad and Tobago. That's what we want. And you see where he come from. He born here. Trinidad born and Trinidad come from. Trinidad born and Trinidad come from. Trinidad born and Trinidad come from. So what wrong if you representing we? Where's the problem? Where's the problem? Right? I just want to say again, Minister Sutton, we always asking for a change, something new, bring something new. Dr. Roddy was there, they cuss him, everybody used to cuss him, Kamala cussing him, the UNC cussing him, people cussing him, who look like he cussing him, they cussing him, and they benefiting from him still, you know. It's a them who talking all kind of black country, I hear that contract, all kind of thing. Contract, let us get that thing, you know. But they cussing the man every time, nothing he could do ain't good. And they know everything he doing is in the interest of this country to save you. And he had this country steady. Dr. Keith Christopher already transformational leader, they cuss him. Yeah? Oh, PNM and thing in the one side of old people. And the country talking about let the young people and get the young people a chance. I was saying old people. When they go PNM thing, I was saying old people and old people. Only get a young man now, I think 40 something, 49. What's the problem now? So, cuss the black man. Try somebody new. We want back the black man to start back cussing the black man. Come now, let me be real now. It's a cosmopolitan country. The PNM is not no African party. It have an African base, of course. A large African base, nobody will deny that or be so disrespectful not to deny that. However, at the end of the day, you think the base and the PNM alone, which must be respected, of course. You think just them alone will be able to get 25 or 27 seats? Or get back all the members of parliament back into office? You really think so? So what it is we want? We can want to go forward, thinking outside the box, not drifting too much from tradition because you see what happened in Sweden, but thinking outside the box and still embracing the concepts and the heritage and the history and everything of the People's National Movement. What is so wrong in that? What's so wrong in that? Sometimes it have people in a situation years, and then somebody come and bring a new excitement and vibrancy. It happens. What you do, you throw that person because you have been there for years and years, and it should have been you, and should have been she, and should have been he, and should have been this one and that one. And because of that, yeah, nah. And Kamala Pasabi says that this is not the issue like America with Trump and Kamala Harris. No, my darling, it is not. So don't want to make it into the same thing that happened to in America and Kamala Harris come. It's not the same thing, my darling. Two different populations you're talking about, two different cultures you're speaking about, and two different parties you're talking about. Yeah. So, as I was saying, that is who some of you think, because people are saying he's not on the ground. So I'll show you him on the ground. And of course, I show you the things he has done in the constituents, and there's more things. I just get some for now. I can't read out everything today. And then you see the things that he have always been showing that he has been doing at a national level for all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah? But the work that I spoke about with the water and thing for Mackay and the tanks and all that, those are things he does for his constituents. Yeah, and then he does the national work. That is what he does with all the gas contracts signing off, having to go to Japan to speak to the Japanese about easing me up on that bad deal that Kevin Ramnaran made that would have had this country having to run to the IMF in 2015, leaving us in so much $1 billion in debt to have to pay this Japanese company. And because of Minister Siotio and the hard work he would have done, that we are not bogged down to that. Even the Atlantic LNG, the hard work we would have done with Dr. Rowley, of course, we are getting more profits from that now. Even with how they're selling the gas, we're not selling the normal price that is a custom selling. They were able to negotiate for a higher price in the gas, so we're getting a little more money than I think the Henry Hubs or something. So we are selling gas. All those things he would have done. What is the problem? Yes, he's making the US uncomfortable. I saw that yesterday with Ralph Maraj. He wasn't the usual hateful self at all, anybody in the areas. I thought it was a baby was there. I thought he had a pacifier in him out. First he calm and cool. Yes, well, he's so hard working. All of a sudden he's hard working this and that. But is it true they're talking, eh? But you see, this is a part of Kuchu I given all. This is my opinion. Minister Chiyo's mother is Indian and his father is Chinese. Who the UNC going to attack? They're going to attack his mother and all his family who are Indian just like them, and they will not. Who are they going to attack? The Chinese community? Really? If they have no African, the normal scapegoat for them to attack. So that is why they're uncomfortable. They don't have the normal African where they could say Duncy and ugly and monkey, and they don't have the normal, they don't have it. So it leaves them in a quandary. And if they were thinking patriotic and Trinidad and Tobago, they would have never been in the position they're in. Because it's not about to attack one race. It's about living in unity with all races. So now they back themselves in a corner because there is only cuss African people. There is cuss African people. Cuss African people. Now you have a man of mixed heritage who all in the UNC is Indian, just like his mother family. And then there's the Chinese community. He's not a Syrian to cuss the Syrian community. So where do these all there? With all the hate. Or they have to turn all the hate inwards now. And do what with it? Keep all the hate for themselves, right? So again, Minister Siotio is the one taking the People's National Movement into the 2025 general election. I have not hidden the fact that I support Minister Siotio and that he's my member of parliament for the constituency Police North St. Anne's West. I have not hid the fact that I support the People's National Movement. Those things are factual. And because of that, I would like to see the People's National Movement back in office to continue the work that Dr. Rowley started. And Minister Siotio was there so he knows how to carry it forward. I hear somebody say arrogant. And I told the person, I said, well, when you say that about people who are, instead of arrogance, why not assertive? Yeah, when people start to use you're knowledgeable, they say you're playing, you feel you know everything. Why not knowledgeable? They always have the negative part of it. And I say, coming from that space is because you yourself are insecure, you yourself have low self-esteem and a kind of passive-aggressive behavior. That is why you always see the negative. So somebody is going forward and doing the work and getting it done, you find it pushy, you find it aggressive, you find it don't like nobody, and there's never positive adjective is used to describe the person, and especially if the person is doing the right things. So all who say carrying on in the steps are Rowley, as I just put it, and he's a clone of Rowley, as I put it. Well, cussing him. How they cussing him? How are they cussing him and calling him Duncy and ugly? And how they saying that to him? Then all they making sense with all they saying, because if he just like Rowley, all they should be cussing he just like Rowley. But you know what? All they know they can, because all they knew the brilliance of Dr. King Christopher Rowley. But it's only because he looked like me. All they give all them out liberty. And the same brilliance we seen in Minister Stuart Young SC. All they can't say nothing now. All they deal with that. It's a new time, new era. We have the Gen Zs and the millennials and the this and that and all them kind of thing. They want to see something different, but we wouldn't let go of the tradition and the heritage. We have to mix the two. And we want the thing exciting. I firmly believe that Minister Stuart Young could carry us to our next era. And I want to leave this with all you. I heard a conversation before Minister Young was in politics. Oh, yes, what do you believe? He was coming from Carnage area, probably went to bed or whatever. And there was this man wheeling himself on a wheelchair, going to wherever. And Mr. Stuart Young, because he was no minister and senator and all of them things, Mr. Stuart Young stopped for the man, took him out the wheelchair, put him in his vehicle, take his wheelchair, put it in the back, and drop the man where he wanted to go, and then come out, put out the chair, put him back in the chair. And the man went about his business. And I understand the car had to be taken to wash because it was not smelling good. So you can imagine the state that that gentleman in the wheelchair was in. But Stuart Young, Mr. Stuart Young, didn't shun him. He didn't turn up his nose at him. He didn't do it because he didn't have no camera there. He was no member of no parliament. He wasn't in no senate. He was no leader, no constituency. He was a lawyer doing his thing. Nobody didn't see him. The person only know about it because when they go to get the car out, the car was smelling. And they was told, okay, why it's smelling like that? And go clean it, whatever. So the point I'm making is this. That is the individual that Minister Stuart Young is. My pumpkins met him when he was in politics. And I told you the kind of reception they have and stuff. And he been like that before. Yeah? And they say he wanted to be a priest and that kind of thing. So it tells you where he comes from. Again, he's not perfect. And if only looking for miracles, or they better stop that foolishness now. He ain't no miracle worker. He's a hard worker, not a miracle worker. But all of us have to work hand in hand to make this thing happen. So don't look for no miracles. Because no manna go fall from the sky and it ain't gonna be raining dollars. Yeah? It's hard work. And he has been doing the work. So I just wanted to put that there because people want to know if you're on the ground and human side. And so I'm showing you the human side of it. And I'm sure there are many more stories. But he's a very humble person and not into one of self-aggrandizement. What you call it? Self-aggrandizement. Because we didn't even know that the girl was and they were giving him so much flack in the media, so much this that. We never knew that this girl was Commissioner of Police at the time, Gary Griffith's cousin. He never said nothing. We never knew before he used to go industrial court to fight cases for the unions. That only came out after Roger and then started to eat up. So you have to defend yourself, whatever. Because he's not about going about and saying, I do this and I do that and I do this. But I will talk about what I know he do. You know why? Because at the end of the day, people need to understand the type of individual that he is. It's not about the glamour and the lights and the glitz. It's about doing the work in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago and his constituents once he can do it. And what more do you need again? Dedication? You got it. Hard work? You got it. Discipline? You got it. The man is a black belt also. You don't reach black belt in karate by getting up a morning and start to throw some kick like it's you understand what? It's that discipline, you have to train, you have to go up in different levels. And your sensei, whoever let's call them, ain't go graduate you to no next level if you're not disciplined. Yeah? So I said on Friday I'm going to read you the Chinese entry into Trinidad and Tobago, just as I used to read about the indentured laborers entry into Trinidad and Tobago. So let me see all who here. So Joel, Andrew, Rosemary, Philo, Carol, 2 Carols in a row, Andre, Denise, Lynette, Dandy, Augusto, Angela, Roxanne, Anne-Marie, Gloria, Patricia, from Virginia, I think it is, Ricardo, Halissa, Herbert, Leno, Glennis, Cheryl, Kenneth, Leno, Herman, Philomene, Larry, Nadia, Jennifer, Sandra, Kurt, Donna, Grace, Julia, Katya, Raymond, Felician, Joy, Small, White, Helen, Ross, Rojas, so there's a line up in a row from Pleasantville. S. Shell, Hadara, Lambert, I'm now trying to call the name. I just know me ball Hadara. Carolyn, all in a row with all the names. Carolyn, Anton, Joyda, Kato. Hi, Kato. Hi, Kevin. I hope you're behaving yourself today, but I think you may not have because you can't. I guess not. Sarah, Ingrid, Nicholas, Roberts. People, thank you all for always coming and stay locked on and tuning with me. I hope you enjoyed today's show. I tried to show the human side of Minister Young while I still talk about other issues, and we'll go along with that because there's an election to be won. I won't forget the good news and other issues, but I will be focusing on Minister Stuart Young because a lot of people don't know him because of the fact he keeps himself very down to earth and private and humble and stuff and just do the work. But he's been trusted in the limelight, so people need to know the kind of work that he has been doing. And as a constituent, I am not afraid to say the things that he has done because I remember going and carrying the Cascade Community Center to see what it looked like. I think I did Belmont to the waterworks in the concrete in the bed of the St. Anne's River that was compromising people's property. I would have shown that at the time they were paving some roads somewhere, whatever. Anytime I walk about anywhere and I see anything that is worth these people knowing, I would not people business and no fighting and back and another kind of thing. I do that. So I will continue to do that and let us get to know our new Prime Minister, Minister Stuart Young SC, while again thanking Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley for human service for 45 years of his life, for taking the abuse and the insults and the derogation and all that, being away from his family, to keep this country, Trinidad and Tobago, afloat, to keep us alive. We can never forget that. We can never repay him. And people talk about, oh, he set up himself to the so he could get the money and all that. And I keep telling people the SRC had nothing to do with Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. Under Canopus Services, they came with a review of salaries back in 2013, I think it was, and opposition and ruling party, that's Kamala and the PP and opposition, agreed that they weren't satisfied or comfortable, whatever, with the report. So the SRC went back, and this is them bringing it forward here last year. So it's not about Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. It's a process as everything else, and it's about 900 and something senior public officers whose salary is affected by the decision of the Salary Reviews Commission, either positively or negatively. It has nothing to do with Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. And as I pointed out, Kamala Persaud is the highest paid politician in this country. Having been a prime minister before she gets that pension, and all the perks of being a member of parliament, all the perks of opposition leader and everything. So she's the highest, one of the highest paid. And she too, when she retires, will be able to get a big pension the same way. And other members of parliament, when they retire also, they will get whatever pensions are attached to when they work and all that. So it's nothing to do with Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. Yeah? This wasn't a heating. This was a part of the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, because the SRC is a creature of the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. So it wasn't him. And the team of the SRC was the word that is used, although the president would have, oh gosh, given them the instrument and said it had to be on the agreement of the opposition leader, Kamala Persad, and the prime minister. So she had a hand in picking the members of the Salary Reviews Commission. So don't get twisted. People that just want to play up what they want to play up and not really talk the thing as it is. So people, thank you all. Love you all so much. I was to switch internet servers. Don't look for handout. No, darling, we don't look for handout, you know. Kamala Persad says, and they wanted to build a welfare state in 2010 to 15 by telling women, open your leg, take a man, get pregnant, go through 9 months, and then when you put out the child, despite you get cesarean, your punky cut up, stitches, morning sickness, whatever it is, she say $500. So you go through 9 months to get $500, to mine a child for life for $500. That's the thing she was doing on 69. Put your hands up down, finger on your lips, sit down, carry the whole army and everybody up in Hilton Hotel, have them come there to tell them $69 in some Colombi orange kind of thing. That's what they do. And then they created a beautiful program that could have done so much good for this country. Life sport, it became dead sport, and we see what happened. A man get $34 million, he never do nothing. Back and alpha, so the country get back the money and then court and all that. That's what you hand out and make the young people feel. Don't study school, don't study education. We close down everything. Don't study that. The state's supposed to mind you. You don't have to do nothing. Don't work hard. You're mad. Go in garden to dirty your hand. No. Sit by the roadside. Don't worry yourself. You're going to get something. That is what Kamala Persad tried to create for people of African descent. While in the Indian communities, take all the programs, go and learn. Don't study them. No. Yeah. So it's actually Kamala Persad and the UNC wanted to create a welfare state for Trinidad and Tobago, where the persons who really, the hands out is people of African descent. But you know what they're not telling you? When you go to the welfare office, like in Tarapuna and that, the amount of people of Indian descent rushing to get welfare, you'll be shocked. Sometimes they come lying, they walk in, coming like they twist up, like they have some disability, and then when they walk on the thing, when they walk out, because no line does, you can't help, line does have to be revealed. When you look, they forget that those walking choke up so come in. When you look, they're walking normal to jump in the maxi to go back where they're going. All them things that's happening, no. All them things that's happening, and they talk about handle, them to be right there too to get food, hamper, everything where they can get free, they just get free. And as I leave by this, I want to tell you, no, darling, I don't mislead the people I talking to, they could go and get it. You could go, see for yourself. I don't talk lie. That's one thing I do, I don't lie. If I'm not sure about something, I say it is alleged. Let me tell you this last one before I go, Keto. It's the People's National Movement under Dr. Eric Eustace Willem. Although Barry Sagan Maharaj would have built the schools, and once that ill-fitted, galvanized and piece of wood put up all over the place, in my mind, he had a plan. He would have get money from the state because nobody want to see no children learn in them kind of condition. So he built them all over. And Dr. Williams would have spoken about, because they look like cow sheds. It had no door and all them kind of thing, dirt floor and old galvan. Oh, yes, that's what it was like. And Dr. Williams would have not his money from his pocket, but the country's money, taxpayers' money, and would have given to not only the Hindu schools, all church schools and all that to build over. And not only that, when university, because all this had education in this country, but it wasn't for poor people. It was for those who own property and have business and the elites and all that who went to school. And a lot of Indians would have gone to school back then based on those Presbyterians who came down here now. I think what they call them, the Mortons or something. So they would have tried to convert the little Indian children, because that's how we get the Winston Dukarans and Carolyn Superstars and those with the slave master first name, but still have the Indian surname. And they went to Presbyterian schools. And they just call them, unfortunately, knife and fork Indians. We know that concept. So yeah, they were given education from that era, from the Canadians and them who came here. But in Trinidad, with the legislature, before the PNM was formed, it's only people who had money children went to school. So when Dr. Equivalent formed the People's National Movement and they got into office, universal education for all. So you didn't have to have money to go to school. Universal education for all. So it is in line with helping to build the Hindu schools, and not only that, to make sure that the Indian parents were sending their girls to school and not sending them in the rice fields and in the sugar plantation. The government, Dr. Eric Eustace William, would have employed inspectors who went to the homes across the Caroni Bridge and those rural areas to make sure the little Indian girls were in school. He did all that, Kato. Not only that, they introduced into the school system the school feeding program. So they used to get food Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And they employed nutritionists who would use the local foods that are grown here. And of course, as a person of Indian descent were growing, the vegetables and all that, we can't discount that. We'll have African persons, of course, but it was largely agriculture was something that we saw Indian people doing. So they would have utilized the bhaji and the kalaloo and the pak choi and all these nutritious food and made meals out of it with the chicken and the goat and the this and the that. So they started the school feeding program, and the principal down across the Caroni Bridge would have remarked that school, the uptake in attendance on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday by children of Indian descent was out of this world because they came to school to get the food. And what they did, if it's 6 of them, they take one box, well, they take the 6 boxes, but one box, all of them share up and they carry home the next 5 for the mother and father and the family home to eat. Those things are facts, Kato. So you see how much the government would have done, the People's National Movement have done, that would have created people like Kamla Prasad Bisesa and Winston Tukaran and Prakash Ramadar and so many others. It was because of the government policies of the People's National Movement, not the UNC, not the NAR. So yes, you all have plenty to be thankful for. And yes, you all use the opportunities in most cases to do well. Some would have used it instead to do all the wrong things, because you have those who were going to legal affairs and they were thieving people land, false deed and all that. We know those things happen. We also know about false qualification. We have seen people in recent times, you could call the names, have doctorates in front, and when you check the colleges or the universities, they say they went, it don't exist, or they didn't have a course, or they were never a student. We see those things happening also, Kato. So that's also a part of your history also, Kato. So don't just focus on us. We know we have issues in our communities, as I said, we know that. We have plenty issues. And we know that our children, some of them are involved in crime and things that they should not be involved in. We know that. We know about black on black crime. We know those things. But do not move as if the Indian community does not have its challenges. Look at the man who said, his wife got a phone call 2 o'clock in the morning or 3, and she went outside and he and she talking. And when he went to look with the daughter, they take a gun, put it here until he go back inside. And he went back inside and then he jumped to the window with the daughter. And when he come back after, he see his wife chop up. We hear and she head was severed, she hand was severed. We hear now the whole. I don't know if he did it or not, that will be determined. K2, and you know, it's people of Indian descent, right? You know, you all have a penchant, is that the word, for using the tool, the garden implement, to carry out violence against your wives or your women folk. You know that, right? And that is something we have to look into, Kato, because that's not right. So come now, Kato. I am telling you that you will have a lot to be grateful for the People's National Movement and Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, and coming through successive PNM government. The biggest chicken producers were Indian people, but they were given grants and this and that to help them because we wanted to be national. So come on, man. We can't deny that you all have done well, but we can't deny also a lot of you all have not done well also. You cannot deny a lot of African persons did well, and there are some that didn't do well. We have black millionaires just as you all have, Kato. We have black businessmen and women just as you all have. We have successful doctors and lawyers just as you all have. We have successful students and teachers and everything and professionals just as you all have, Kato. But you see, some in the Indian community love to show off and say black people don't do anything. African people have a tendency, don't really talk about what they have, they just work and do what they need to do. Yeah? Okay. So people, I love you all. See you all. Yes, he has to be legacy. He has to be happy because of the policies of the People's National Movement. A lot of people of Indian descent in this country have to be happy because of the policies of the People's National Movement. They would have taken all the opportunities. Some of them and did well, and some of us who look like me, they did not. That is also a fact. Yeah. But the UNC has never created any government policy that would have assisted no citizen in this country. None. None. Right? And at the end of the day, we can't discount the contribution of the Syrian Lebanese community. We cannot discount the contribution of the Chinese community or no other community in this country because we are cosmopolitan and all of us build this country together. Side by side we stand. So people, I love you all. See you all on Friday Gospel. And Kato, please know your history. Please, my darling. We know ours, We know ours and we're not ashamed. We know we came as enslaved Africans, we know that. But we know the conditions under which we came. And yes, we know there were some Africans selling Africans in the city, their homie tribe, they were doing that. And I think recently they would have come out, they didn't realize that is what they were selling the slaves that they caught into, because in African society there was always some form of slavery, but not chattel slavery. And if you fight another tribe for territory or land and you capture them, they became your slave. But you know what? In that culture, you can arose from slave and become the leader of that tribe because you wasn't considered less than a human being. Yeah. But with chattel slavery, you were not considered human at all. Yeah. And in India, they had a fancy name for those who got the Indians to go on the Fazal Razak. They call them Indian agents. It's just another word for Indian catchers. Eh? And like I said that, right? So people know your history. Love you all. See you all on Friday. God spare. Ah, God. We came as, yes, they did. Legacy, you're correct, because they say that we didn't want to work because we were lazy. And that is something need to always be corrected. We didn't want to work because we were emancipated. After they keep we into bondage for 400 years, the same people turn around now and say they free us, they emancipate us, and then now they say, yeah, what? Before they could enjoy that, work for 5 more years in an apprenticeship system. And they go live on the plantation, and you just be working until you're still not getting paid. We say, no, massa, they done. And we went into Belmont, that was called Freetown. A lot of us went Gonzales, a lot of us went to Miaro, Kokal, and those areas. And there were free Africans here, They came here. I will tell you about Jonas Bat and all the plantations in Kokal and how he used to go on when the ship came in and he used to say, Assalamu alaikum, I think that's the word. And when they respond, he knew it was Muslims and he used to buy them. Buy the freedom, and they used to go up on Kokal, up on the land, that was the coconut estate and all that. So yes, they came as scam labor because we refused to work for free. And then what they do to create this harmony amongst the two groups now, they brought the Indians here on contracts and paying them. So how you think the Africans would feel who were here for 400 years, not only in Trinidad, but in the Caribbean, work for nothing, you free us, and instead of giving us work where we can work and get paid. No. Or they work for free still. We say no, and then they bring in another group of workers and pay them. So there were scrap laborers. They were, yeah. So that would, of course, started and created contention. And then the Indians, some of them in the head say, we was lazy, we didn't want to work. But it's we who build the Caribbean, we who build England, of the sweat, tears, murder, rape of our ancestors built England, give them the opportunity to get into industrialization. They started to invest money that the scientists, and some of them the thief, a lot of African inventors invention, because we couldn't patent on anything. They take it for their own, the telephone, the steam, this and I want to read on all those things, but the point I'm making is this. We were never lazy because we build the world. Other people come and help support, but we build the world, we taught the world. We came from a continent of learning and physics and science and mathematics. We build the pyramids. Yeah. Mathematicians and all that. So, okay, so don't discount us, my darling. Yeah. Know your history. And we used to go all down to India also. That's why the Sudis are there, because they came from the Bantu, I think Bantu tribe in Africa. They're there for years, and they've been discriminated against in India. But they have been there for centuries. And one of Japan's most famous, not most famous, one of Japan's famous samurai warrior, military and all that was an African man. I will tell you all about him one of these days, right? So don't just compliment my darling. We have been all over because we have been traveling all over the world. Yeah. We just got disconnected from mother, and it's taken us some time to really build back that strong connection. And that's why when they took us, they cut the umbilical cord from Africa, take away the culture, the music, everything. And something else was created from that. Good thing for retainers. And because it's in the DNA, we were able to replicate, and then we started our journeys again. We are actual traveler. But listen, the African community is so powerful. I'm not saying it's more than anybody else, but I'm talking about what I know, that we need to know ourselves and our roots. I understand it and know it. That's why I could support Minister Stuart Young hands down. That is my member of parliament. I represent him, and I go away with that. Yeah? So, just a little history. I love you all, people. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Girl, it was passed down. Thing I read, and I inquire and I ask questions. So I'm happy to impart it. And if you want to do any fact checking and you find that I say something that is not accurate, please, please, please put a message. Bantu, yes. They who were down in India. Because we were traveling a long time, because remember these places was split up, you could walk from here to come down here and all that, but with time as it passed and change in patterns and this and that, whatever, things break away and this kind of thing. And everything gets shaped up and cut up different and blah, 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 whatever. Yeah, so anything I may have said that you all, when you go and look for it, and it is wrong or whatever, inaccurate, send me a message and tell me so I could correct it or put it up, right? So, but African leaders just sold you. I already said that, oh gosh, we said that, I tell all you, let us repeat the same. We said that there are some African leaders who sell Africans into slavery. They sell them to the white man. That I tell you, we know we history, we are ashamed, it happened. Because it was a business. It was a business. We are ashamed of that. But in India, all they said was the same thing, but all they wasn't coming in slavery, only coming into the internship. But the same, it had Indian Asian who used to cajole and fool and all kind of thing, trick and all kind of thing to get them to come on the ship. Because that said crossing the water was taboo for Indians and what the culture and that kind of thing. So come on, man. I didn't think they thought they was going to cross no way. I think they probably thought they was going around the corner somewhere or something like that. Right, so people, love you all. Love you all. See you on Friday. Godspeed. Go on.